Hello, everybody, and welcome to Rams Talk here on YouTube. I hope everybody had a great Memorial Day weekend. And again, a big thank you to all those who have made the ultimate sacrifice to for us to live our freedom in this country. We want to extend those thank yous to those that made the sacrifice, those who have served, and those who are current serving, and all those that are going to serve in the future. Just want to give a warm thank you to everybody. So again, happy Memorial Day weekend in case, no one said that, but we're here. It's a new week. My name is E. Of course, I got Jay with me here, partner.
So
Hope you had a great weekend.
thank you, brother. Hope you had a same good weekend as well. Happy Memorial Day late, and thank everybody for their service who joined the military and their services. But
And
let's
just really quick before we start, there is something that I do want to talk about really quick. Many of you may not know this or have known this. We all of us are aware what happened with the Liverpool incident, their victory parade. We just want to say that our thoughts and prayers are those who were affected by this. Continue to pray for them, and hopefully, um, things will hopefully get better. But again, I just wanted to bring that up. I know it was a tough thing to witness, but we just want to say that we're aware of what happened, and we just want to say our thoughts are with everybody who's been affected by this terrible incident. Um,
pray.
Knowing that, now we're gonna go ahead and move on to our show here. One of the things we want to talk about is the OTAs, partner. The OTAs coming up. Actually, it started today. Today was the first day of the all-season workouts, as you see on our screen. Today, tomorrow, and then the 30th. Then they'll have one. They'll have two rounds on the 2nd and 3rd of June, June 5th, June 9th through the 10th, and June 12th. And of course, the mandatory mini camps will begin on June 16th through the 18th. Keep in mind, the mini camps will not be here as the Rams will be taking their camp to Hawaii.
Oh, nice partner. I didn't know that one. They're gonna have a
It was
blast.
announced during the draft that they were going to move. Actually, it was announced about 2 weeks ago that they were going to take their mini camp to Hawaii. It's something that they want to do new. So, hey, power to them. If you can go to Hawaii, check out your Rams, folks, because it's going to be a great year.
That's awesome for
So,
all.
so now that the draft has concluded, now we can start focusing on the work because now today marks, or yesterday marked 100 days for the start of the season, and a lot of
Damn,
us are looking forward to it.
I can't believe it, partner. I feel like the Super Bowl ended just like a month ago or so, and just to
Yeah,
see.
we just had the draft a month ago, like you said.
Yeah, that as well. And for the off-season workouts to begin already, it's a sign that football season is around the corner. Like you mentioned, 100 days go like that quick, especially this year has have been going by super fast in my opinion. So I'm super excited.
Well, even though football is not here yet, there's always football talk, and that's the point of this show, our second episode. And again, we want to thank everyone that got to check us out on the first episode. It's still uploaded on our YouTube page here for E and J Rams Talk. You can follow us, subscribe to us. Just click that little bell, the corner at the bottom of the video. You don't have to pay anything; it's free. We do this because we're students and we're future broadcasters, and we're looking forward to provide you the best of our knowledge when it comes to your Los Angeles Rams. Again, you can
Out.
subscribe to us on YouTube and also affiliated with the show Sports Talk as well.
Let's
So one
go.
of the things, go ahead, partner.
No, I'm just going with your word, bro. Rams house.
And we do have some couple of news we want to come and make you guys aware. So right now we are hearing rumors about a possible reunion with cornerback Jalen Ramsey. ESPN had reported that Ramsey was looking to come back to Los Angeles, but a new development has broken out, partner. Apparently now there's three teams that are interested in the services of Jalen Ramsey, and we know that the Rams are one of them.
Right.
How do you figure, who's going to win this contest?
I feel like we have the side as the Rams. We had him in the past. He did great with us. He had good chemistry in that locker room, especially with McVay. I never had a anything like from the press release or anything about him being negative in a way. I think he still has ability to be great in that CB position, in which I think the Rams need at this moment. And his veteran presence on the in the locker room and on the field will help a lot.
But let's give into facts. Last season, let's admit it was one of his worst seasons.
Mhm.
He did not make the Pro Bowl for the first time as a pro. The last time that happened was his rookie year back in 2016 with the Jacksonville Jaguars. But
Right.
there are two other teams that are interested in Mr. Ramsey, and those teams are the Dallas Cowboys and their rivals, the Washington Commanders, who desperately need defense. These three teams need defense, and having a veteran cornerback like Jalen Ramsey really can help your defense stir to the next level. He's a good veteran leader. As you mentioned too, there was never any problems with him. And again, he never wanted to leave the Rams. He met with Jalen Ramsey met with Sean McVay after the 2022 season. They both agreed on this. They both thought it was best for each party, and that's how he separated from the Rams. So it's not something that he asked for it. It was more of a business move because they were rebuilding after that Super Bowl season. Ramsey did a good job being one of the leaders on that defense with Aaron Donald and other players. So having him back here will be a good thing in my point because you got young players on defense that are stepping up. And this was a good crew that played last year. There were some games where they were blown out. Technically, the blowout loss I've seen was against the Philadelphia Eagles. But this team was pretty much competitive all year long. And we've seen that.
hundred
Do I
percent
feel
partner.
that? Well, let me ask you this question, though, partner. Does Jalen Ramsey have enough left in the tank? He'll be 31 this year in October.
I believe he does. I think he has 1 year in him, despite he has a history of injuries that might affect him if we get him. But overall, I think he didn't have a great year with the team with the Dolphins. So I believe him reunited, he could come back stronger and be a threat for this team, in which we already have a great defensive team chemistry as we showed it last year, as we took it all the way to the couple plays away from the Super Bowl.
But let me bring this up, point Jay. He's gotta be on a competitive team. That's how he's gonna show his best. Miami wasn't pretty much a good team last year. We know what happened with the quarterback position. Tyreek Hill is asking to leave Miami, and I'm not sure what that stands right now. But now Jalen Ramsey, they agreed to talks, and he's been released. So you wonder if the next team he's going to go to is going to be a Super Bowl caliber team. I mean, look, Washington will probably be a good team because look, they just made the NFC Championship game last year. They took out Detroit, the 1 seed. They won their wild card round against Tampa, and that was a very, very crazy wild card round. You look at the depth on defense, they also have Bobby Wagner at linebacker, but Bobby Wagner is getting up in age. He's about to go into his 14th season. So not sure how long he'll be there, but having another veteran presence in Jalen Ramsey, I think it will be a good fit for the Washington Commanders. I think they're the team that's the future of the NFL that's going to go up. No one thought they were going to be there last year, partner. They probably could have beat Philly if Jalen Ramsey was there. They could have probably stopped some of that aggressive offense.
I 100% agree with you with that. Washington, they remind me of the Rams. They're a young, hungry team as well, and they're like you mentioned, they're the future of the NFL. They have a great squad. It's just that defensive side that has given them a downfall this season and the last season. So if they get Ramsey, that would help a lot for them in the locker room, especially with a young squad, and they could probably build something and probably build a championship in a couple of years.
But let me make this point, folks. He's still under contract under Miami. Miami wants to trade him.
Mhm.
He is making money. He's actually signed through 2028. He's supposed to make 16.6 million this coming year, and that salary is going to keep increasing for at least the next 3 years. Would you be one of those teams that are willing to take on that salary, knowing that that number is going to increase for at least 3 years.
Yeah, that's a tough one to be honest. That's a lot of money on the board for a team, and for he. I know he's up there in age and he's veteran. I think he still has the capability to do something on the field, but at his age and his history of injuries is tough. So it's a 50-50.
And then Ramsey, he had a maybe not a great Pro Bowl year. He had 16 combined tackles. He had 11 passes deflected, but he only had 2 interceptions. This guy is normally around the ball. For him to have those low key interceptions is it's to me there was something wrong there. He's
Yeah,
still a quality cornerback. He is,
right.
but right now his relationship in Miami, it's not looking good. But I think he'll be a good fit for
So
Washington if they decide to go for it. Now you look at the other team, the Dallas Cowboys. Why do you say they want to get Ramsey? I'll give you a reason. Trayvon Diggs. He underwent knee surgery for the second year in a row, and he suffered an ACL just 2 years ago. So, I mean, can you see why? I can't see why Dallas. I mean, I don't know what they're going to trade for. You still got contract issues with Dak Prescott. You still have other players that you still have to sign. So, I mean, does this even make sense for Dallas?
yeah, I forgot about Trayvon Diggs, back-to-back ending surgeries. I think that could be big as well. That'll be a good fit for Ramsey. I believe each team has a good fit for Ramsey, but the Cowboys, their big pickup off in this offseason was George Pickens from the Steelers. I think they're gonna have a good connection with CD Lamb, but on the defensive side, I think they still have a little trouble on the CB position. So Ramsey does fit.
And here's one thing too. Somebody from the Rams have already spoken up that they want Jalen Ramsey, and that's star nickel Quentin Lake. He's come out to the media basically begging for management and Sean McVay to actually sign Jalen Ramsey. Remember, he was here for 4 years, won Super Bowl 56, and he made the Pro Bowl all 4 years he was here.
Hmm.
So I know there's a reason for him to go to Washington. There's a reason for him to go to Dallas, but I think the main reasons for him to come back here to LA, he's actually shown off his best here in those 4 years. Even the losing season, 2022, he still played well. He still had the numbers. He still made the Pro Bowl.
Yeah, all four
And
years.
right now, and I gotta say right now, partner, they're in a win now mode because Matthew Stafford. Let's not forget him. He's still under contract. He'll be 38 or he's 38 years old. Not enough time. Jimmy Garoppolo, he's his backup. He's in his 30s. Start looking into the future.
I
Would you
believe
say now this is a win now? Like they got to get it going and try at least to get maybe one or two more Super Bowls?
yeah, I believe in next year we're gonna go for a QB in that draft class for sure, 100%. There's no doubt about that. We're gonna start thinking about our future in the QB position. But I've been seeing lately the Rams on Twitter and social media. They've been active. They've been already on the practice field, which I love. The chemistry already building early, and we have Devontae Adams already getting catches caught thrown by Stafford.
But you look at another thing too, Jay. The Rams already have veteran cornerbacks already. You're looking at Darius Williams. He's 32. And you look at Akello Witherspoon, the guy that made the key interception against the Cardinals that actually won the division for them. He's going to be 30 years old. Now, if you put Ramsey in there, that's a big three defense that you have to go against.
I
And keep
agree.
in mind, even though they're in their 30s, they're very caliber good players. All three of these guys.
Yeah, they showed out these last couple of years, and they proved everybody right that they could be great CB players. But there's one or two plays that always goes by, but I think that's normal. But with Jalen Ramsey back with the Rams would be great in that CB room class.
Yeah, and then there's been inside rumors that teams like the Atlanta Falcons, who Raheem Morris is the head coach. He coached Jalen Ramsey for what 2 years,
Yeah.
and he can a good reunion there. And then you look at the Baltimore Ravens, and then the Cincinnati Bengals. There's other teams that might be interested in Jalen Ramsey. So I'm not sure if I was Sean McVay, I would probably like start maybe making phone calls to Mr. Ramsey. I know the talks are heating up, and then now you have players speaking out. So what do you think? This is more of a win-win, make a wish foundation towards type of thing.
I think we'll find out in the next couple of weeks of what happens with Jalen Ramsey, and hopefully, by then we could have a show and talk about it because I think there's gonna be moves going around with Jalen Ramsey for sure.
But really quick, we want to give a big shout out and congratulations to Aaron Donald because he is going to be inducted into the Pittsburgh University Athletics Hall of Fame.
That's
So
right.
congratulations,
Oh,
AD.
the
Believe it
goat.
was announced last week that he was going to be inducted into the Hall of Fame. But again, he came out of Pitt. He was drafted here in 2014 by the
Mhm.
then St. Louis Rams, made the
Mhm.
move here to LA, became
Yeah.
one of the most dangerous, aggressive linemen in NFL history, and he's won a Super Bowl. And
Yeah.
he's got Hall of Fame credentials, so he's going to be going to the Hall of Fame soon.
Yeah, and it was just his birthday too, so happy late birthday to Aaron and congratulations on him on being inducted into that. And he's just one of the goats on the defensive side we've ever seen.
Yes, happy birthday, AD. Happy birthday. We still miss him. We wish he would come back, but he's very
Yep. He's happy retired.
he's happily retired. So one thing that we do want to discuss also on the program is the running back position. So we know that Kyron Williams is still part of the Rams, but they have some upcoming players that might take his spot, partner. How about that?
Yeah, partner. So one of the big players that we drafted in this draft class was Jarquez Hunter, in which we traded a couple round picks for him. And I was surprised, but at the same time not until I seen a video of Sean McVay praising him for his ability on that running back position, and I feel like he could be our number two runner back in that RB room.
Yeah, you look at like we're having some issues here with our video. We apologize. But yeah, he traded up to get him in the fourth round. He felt that that was one of the key components in rebuilding this offense that he had. He wants to basically rebuild what he had when he first came here.
Right.
We know that he had Todd Gurley, who was a dominant running back for a couple years. And then you look at they move on to Darnell Henderson, who did okay, and then they bring in Cam Akers, but he got hurt. Then in the Super Bowl year, they had Sony Michel. They brought him in for the Patriots, and then Cam came back, but he had fumbling issues. And then they picked up Kyron Williams, and he's had an okay couple years here. He's gotten a couple 1,000-yard seasons. He's actually shown explosive play skills, but the problem with it is he's fumbling.
Yeah, I
He's
was
had
about
some fumble issues the past 2 seasons.
key turnovers too, and key pivotal games as well. So
And
so I feel like there might be a fight for that number one spot. But we'll see how Kyrie Williams comes out these first couple of weeks, and hopefully he worked hard in this offseason.
yeah, he's been basically the vocal point in the rebuilding of this Rams offense. Uh, he's been here now a couple years, and he had a stellar year last year, Jay. He had almost 1,300 yards. He was tied. He was now seventh in the league. He's third. He was third in the league in carry attempts with 316 carries. That's third best.
Oh,
He had 14 touchdowns, which is the fifth best. He averages about 4.1 yards a carry, which I think that can improve.
Yep.
So since he's been here, he's rushed for about 2,500 yards. And he's had postseason games. He's averaged 182 yards rushing in the postseason, but he has not scored a touchdown though.
In the
That's
postseason?
in the postseason. He's had 35 carries, 182 yards, but no touchdowns in the postseason. He's only had one touchdown, but that's on the receiving end. And he actually he's done well last year when it comes to the offense. 34 receptions for 182 yards, two touchdowns.
There was an article that came out earlier this week that Kyrie Williams, in quotes, mentioned he is feeling good about an extension with the Rams. So the answer is always a yes with Kyrie, and even though he has his ability of fumbling, I think he's been a great threat with Stafford and their play options and how they play move the ball down the field.
He's he's fumbled 7 times in the past 2 seasons. He had 5 fumbles last season, and he lost 3 of them. And the year before that, he only had one. So I think that's something that he needs to work on. He needs to work on holding the ball better. But
Hmm.
if you look at his running capabilities, it's improved. So we talked about the rookie year, the rebuilding year. We saw him play for a little bit, but then in 2023, it was his first year as a starter. He rushed for about 1,144 yards and 12 touchdowns. This past season, he rushed for almost 1,300, 1,299, and he had 14 touchdowns. So his numbers are going higher, higher, higher. In the carries, though, 2 years ago, he had 228 carries for those 1,100 yards. This season, he had 316 carries for almost 1,300 yards. So his participation is actually making it better.
Hmm.
But if you go back to the Todd Gurley era, you notice that those carries are higher than what Williams had these past 2 years. Does it show that they need to run the ball more now that they don't have this, I'll say, greatest show on turf offense that they had a couple years ago with Jared Goff and Stafford? Cooper Kupp's not here. Robert Woods is not here. Van Jefferson's not here. Tyler Higbee is pretty much limited with his injury. We look at these draft class. They picked up Josiah Stewart. Actually, he's an edge. I'm sorry, he's not an offense. They picked up Hunter in the 4th round.
Right.
They picked up Kanata Mumfield in the 7th round. Chris Paul Jr. is actually a linebacker. And then Terrence Ferguson was picked up, it
In the
looks like, in
second
the
round.
2nd round. Terrence Ferguson, let me start with him. He could be a perfect replacement for Tyler Higbee.
Yeah, I agree. Right off the bat.
All Tyler Higbee has to do is just pretty much be a coach to him. We know the injury was severe. He came back, but he's still in that recovery mode because a nasty, gruesome injury like that takes time to heal. And Tyler Higbee has been here for so long that he knows his offense inside and out. He doesn't even need the playbook.
Hmm.
So, what does that say for Terrence Ferguson? Was there a lot of pressure for him to be the replacement for Tyler Higbee?
I do not think so. I think Terrence Ferguson is a perfect option and to replace Tyler Higbee. Don't count Tyler Higbee out. He's still gonna be running routes, blocking, but Terrence Ferguson is a more athletic freak. He could block, he could catch, he could do all types of incredible by his athleticism. Because in college he was getting thrown by Dylan Gabriel, and now that he has Matthew Stafford and how Matthew Stafford loves targeting his tight ends. This is gonna be big, and we could use him in the running scheme as well, as he's a great blocker. So I love this fit. And McVay actually said he effing loves this guy. So I'm excited of what he could bring this year.
Do you see the possibility though that that Sean McVay might run he run a third down or maybe a possibility of running two tight ends on offense?
I could see that as well. Two tight ends would be perfect, especially for that running scheme that we're gonna do. That's an extra two blockers, especially with that O line if they do their job. We're just gonna have holes all around that defensive, in which we gotta just put in the effort and run through them.
Well, his height also is what makes him dangerous. He's 6 foot. He's 247. So having that having that size is very, very crucial.
Yeah, I agree 100%. So I'm excited about Terrence Ferguson. So excited I might have to get his jersey, partner.
He's gonna be a very productive person. I mean, you look at what he did in college. 2 years ago, the then Pac-12, he was the first team in the Pac-12, and then this past season, his last year in college with Oregon, he was the third team in the Big Ten. And you look at you look at what he did in college. Let's go back to his freshman year: 17 receptions for 141, 2 touchdowns. Their bowl game in 2022, 5 receptions for 84 yards. And then you look at in that season, he finished with 32 catches for 391 and 5 touchdowns. This is a guy that he could be used in the goal line situation. If you can't run the ball, if you can't get it to Puka Nakua, if you can't get it to Devontae Adams, if Tyler Higbee not available, if Kyron Williams can't run, and if Matthew Stafford's having pressure problems, then your best bet is to throw it to Terrence Ferguson.
Yeah, and he's gonna be wide open. He's gonna be one on one most of the times because Davante Adams is gonna have two eyes on him as well as Cooper Cup. I mean, sorry, Puka Nakua. So it's gonna be we're gonna have a lot of guys who are gonna be open on that one on one scheme. So I love it. We might have to target him, especially in that third down.
But
And
let's stay with the offense part. Let's talk about the running game. Let's talk about Jarquez Hunter. Comes out of Auburn. He's one of the best programs out there in college football. And he has a reputation of being an aggressive runner.
right.
When you think of aggressive runners in the NFL, I can think of the legends. I can think of Jerome Bettis. I can think of Jamal Lewis in 2000. I can think of Eddie George when he was with the Tennessee Titans. Curtis Martin with the New York Jets. And who could forget Marshall. I could name a few legends there,
Uh, they're all
but
legends.
he's got a reputation for being an aggressive runner.
Then
And put it this way though, he started his career in college as a backup to Tang Bixby.
mhm. Tyler, guess
And
60.
yeah. And then let me give you another stat here, partner. So against Alabama State in his freshman year, he set the record for the school for the longest rush running yard in the school's history. He ran a 94-yard touchdown. That's like the longest in the history of Auburn, still to this date.
Yeah, yeah, that tells his explosiveness out of the gate, and that's what Sean McVay caught his eye on him, and he loves that. He loves him because Jarquez Hunter had the second highest explosive rush rate with 10 plus yards in 2024, along with for 150 carries. So his explosiveness could be deadly, especially we have those opening gaps with our O line and two tight end schemes that we will play, in which I believe we will do. I love it.
And then one thing about Jarquez Hunter, partner, he had a great career at Auburn. In his freshman year, he rushed for 593, 3 touchdowns. His sophomore year, he rushed for 675, 7 touchdowns. Now keep in mind his average yardage. His freshman year, 6.7. It went down, but his numbers went up. His junior year, excuse me, he rushed for 909 yards, 7 touchdowns. His best year ever was his senior year. He rushed for 1,201 yards and 8 touchdowns. So he has had that career going and his numbers increase. I can see Jarquez Hunter be used here in this offense if Kyron Williams struggle or any other running back on that roster. They got 4 running backs on his roster.
Mm-hmm.
Eventually they're going to have to cut one
I agree.
or find ways to keep all 4. But
Yes, yeah,
I will keep this guy in your offense
I like him.
because he's got a reputation. He's got a reputation to be a like an aggressive runner, and I think that's something you need in the NFL when you go up against defenses like the 49ers,
The
the
Eagles,
Texans, the Chargers,
Eagles.
and then you got the defenses of the AFC North, the Pittsburgh Steelers, the Baltimore Ravens, who the Rams have to play again. So you're gonna need a guy like Jarquez Hunter to lead you in that running game. Wouldn't you agree?
You couldn't have said anything better, partner. I 100% agree. That we're gonna. That's why I see 50-50 usage. It might not be in the first couple weeks of the season, but going up and getting his confidence on the field, giving him a couple plays, I think will boost his confidence up, in which I think we'll use both of them. And yeah, we're gonna have to make room for that RB room. That's a lot of running backs.
Yeah, well, it's going to be interesting to see this summer what they'll do with that running back game. Also, Williams is up for an extension. I believe he's at the last year of his contract.
Yeah,
So
correct.
this might be a make or break year for him. It could be him to get an extension, or this could be a year for him to audition for the NFL, meaning other teams. So we're gonna wrap up. Let's see. The looks like that is it for the offense. Actually, no. Let's do we do have one more player, and that's Kanata Mumpfield. I believe that's how it's pronounced. Correct?
Yeah, Konate Mumfield, which I was surprised we drafted a wide receiver. I'm not sure what caught our attention about him. I haven't studied him to be honest, but let's see what he got on the stats.
Well, he was drafted in the 7th round, so near the end of the draft. Who knows? With Sean McVay, you never know. You may have that one 7th round pick that might be the GOAT. I mean, we saw Tom Brady, and then we see Brock Purdy. Well, by the way, it's going to be interesting to see how he's going to do without Debo, because Debo was his guy.
Yeah, well, but there's a
So
fun.
Kanata Murfield.
Yeah.
Yeah, what was that?
Yeah, go ahead. I was gonna say a quick fact about him.
Yeah, go ahead, go ahead. I'll let you take the floor.
Had 500 plus receiving yards in his last 4 seasons with Pitt, and that's when Pitt had QBs all around, they didn't have a QB, so that tells you kind of his talent a little bit.
Yeah, yeah, that's one thing too. But here's the one thing. He was the second team in the MAC conference in his I believe in his first year, and he had a very okay year. So he actually was a transfer partner.
Yeah.
He started off at Akron, but then after that season, he entered his name to transfer, and he ended up playing for the Pittsburgh Panthers. So back to Akron. So he in one of the key games against Ohio State, he had 7 receptions for 67 yards and a touchdown. Um, Against Western Michigan, he had a buck 22. He finished his rookie season with 63 catches for 751 yards and 8 touchdowns,
Mm.
which earned him that All American award for being on the second team MAC honors. So now he goes to Pittsburgh. In his first year, the third game of the season, guess who he plays? Western Michigan.
Ooh.
Nabs a touchdown to win the game.
Ooh.
In his second season or his first season there, 58 catches for 551. So okay, it dropped from his rookie season. He had a little slow year in his junior year, 44 catches for 576 and 5 touchdowns. Now in his senior year, he did kind of get that average. He did have a career high in yardage, 813 with 5 touchdowns. So I can see the Rams using him as another receiver in third down situation, possibly maybe second down shortage, if they want to do a slant. Or it could be one of those times where you do a shovel pass. We've seen Stafford do those shovel passes.
I'll say partner. I'll say he'll take the spot of
You're gonna
DeMarcus.
say something?
Yeah, I'll say Konate will take DeMarcus Robinson's spot, in which DeMarcus Robinson would do a lot of that in the red zone or do a lot of slants. And Konato even took DeMarcus Robinson's number 15. So I could see him utilized in that position.
He's very young right now. He's 22 years old, so he's gonna have speed. So also the Rams still have Tutu Atwell, so that's gonna be an interesting factor too. What they're gonna do with him.
Yeah, we're gonna see a lot of movements or probably a lot of players on the field this year.
That is true. So this is the rookie pick for the Rams on offense. So now we're gonna go ahead and move on to the defense, and we see some great players on defense. So we're gonna go ahead and start with the third round pick, Josiah Stewart, who's supposed to be an edge rusher, and he's coming out of Michigan, where he was coached by guess who? Jim Harbaugh.
Woo!
Spent 2 years with Jim Harbaugh.
I love to see players come out of the Harborough brothers. They're all great players.
Yeah, and reputation of John Harbaugh with Baltimore with the aggressive defense, and brother Jim picked it up too. And again, remember those two went at it a few times in their early careers.
Yes, they did. And about Josiah Stewart, I think that I love the edge. I think we upgraded our edge. It's gonna be deadly. I think we're gonna have a lot of sacks this year. I think we're gonna lead. I'll give a quick bold prediction. We're gonna lead the league in sacks. We're gonna be top three at least this year.
Well, if you put him there with Verse number 8, this could be a killer 1-2 combination. You remember a couple years ago, yeah, pretty much you're gonna see that on the field. But remember a couple years ago, Aaron Donald had Ndamukong Suh.
Oh,
How deadly was that?
that's nothing. That's incredible. Like to have two insane players on the. It's just incredible to think that
Yeah,
really
so
happened.
now you got possibly Josiah Stewart and Verse, Jared Verse.
And Josiah Stewart.
But
Josiah Stewart had 9 sacks last year with 37 pressures. I think that's a pretty good year, and he led the class in the 27% yard percent of pass
yeah, and some rookie highlights or some not rookie highlights, but um
college.
career highlights. I mean, he won a title in 2023. I believe it was with Michigan. He was with Jim Harbaugh. That was, I believe that was Jim Harbaugh's last year before he went to the NFL. He won a title there.
Mm.
And then you see he was a first team All American, a first team All Sun Belt in his freshman year. He was the second team All in his sophomore year, and then in his senior year, he was a second team for the Big Ten. So this guy's had a lot of awards. He actually came from Coastal Carolina. He played there for a season, and I believe no, he played 2 years at Coastal Carolina. Then he went to Michigan, where he met with Jim Harbaugh, and his numbers actually got better there too. At Coastal Carolina, um, in his freshman year, he had 10 and a half sacks. In his second year there, he had four forced fumbles, and he actually had 15 sacks in his in his 2 years, I believe. And then you look at when he goes to Michigan, he actually put up some decent numbers there. 2023, he had 38 tackles, 8.5 tackles for a loss, 5.5 sacks. He broke up 2 passes, and he won a national championship that year.
Whew, what a
Then you
year.
go into his senior year. Here's the thing: he went from 5 to 0 in his last year,
Mhm.
and he was the ninth ranked pass rusher in the nation.
Mm, impressive.
One of his best games was the first game of that season against Fresno State. He had 5 tackles. He had 3 for loss and 2 sacks. So he had a very, very productive year with
And he,
Michigan.
yeah,
And listen to the stat though for his career: 150 tackles, 48 of them for a loss, 30 sacks,
wow.
and 6 fumbles.
That's pretty impressive. I love those stats, man. And
Can you
it,
compare it to Aaron Donald? Yeah, I wouldn't mind doing that.
but imagine, and that's with that Michigan squad, I believe. But now with this Rams defense, brother, oh my God, this defense is gonna be amazing. Like, there's no like words that could describe. We're gonna be sacking left and right. We're gonna just be. You think we go back to the to the conference?
I think the Philadelphia Eagles should probably start worrying about how to protect Saquon Barkley and Jalen Hurts because these big boys, these big three on defense might help, Verse get a hold of them again.
I
And
agree.
speaking of Michigan, we're gonna go to our next player who was out of the same conference,
The rival.
and that's Ty Hamilton, the DL out of Ohio State. So him and Stewart have gone at it for at least a couple years.
Yep.
So they might know each other pretty well, or maybe they don't.
They're gonna have to build that chemistry, even though they're in that rival colleges. This guy is pretty big, and I feel like we're gonna use him a lot as well. And it's just adds another great player in our defensive D line.
Well, you look at his stats though. In his freshman year, he was a redshirt freshman. So he had 13 tackles. He had two that were for a loss. He had deflect pass, a fumble recovery. Um, in the second year, he got to start. So his first year, he was a red shirt, so he wasn't a starter. His next year, he was a starter, and you look at his best game was against Northwestern, where he had his first sack and he had 3 tackles.
Right.
His sophomore year, he finished with 19 tackles. Um, half of those tackles were for a loss. Half a sack. So he can get to the quarterback too. Um, and here's the thing: in his final year, partner, he set the career record for sack. His career records. He had
Right.
40 combined tackles, 2.5 sacks, a
Damn.
forced fumble, and he was the Reese's Senior Bowl All American for defense. So this guy you got to keep.
And the stat that got me happy about it was his 37 assist tackles. So that tells you like he could get into the hole, tackle you and help and provide, you know? So that's 37 assists plus his 14 solo tackles. That's pretty impressive.
Yeah,
And
it was very, very interesting to see these choices that the Rams did.
yeah, I believe that GM and McVay is doing all the right calls, and I'm just excited what this class could do this year.
So let's talk about our final player in this draft class.
Paul?
Chris Paul Jr., the fifth round out of Mississippi. He actually has Bobby Wagner's own number.
Mm-hmm.
So he comes out of he first started at Arkansas. He played there 3 years. Then in his senior year, he moved to Ole Miss. He was a red shirt at Arkansas. Um, he only started 2 games out of the time he was there. He actually had 62 tackles and 4 sacks in the 3 years that he was there. But his junior year, he played 11 games. Then his numbers went up, 74 tackles and 2 sacks. He goes to Mississippi in his final year, where he was actually the full starter for the first time. And he was actually the all SEC second round team. And he was selected by USA Today's All American first team. So that was like more of a higher award than winning the all second SEC award. So I mean, if you can put if Chris Paul can learn about outside linebacker, inside linebacker, middle linebacker, I tell you, those running games are not gonna be like proactive. You know, we got 3 talented, talented young guys coming out of this draft class, and I think this is the best draft class in the 8 years that Sean McVay's been with the Rams.
Oh, I believe so. I believe this is a great sneaky draft class that we got, and I mean every year we provide great draft picks, and we've proven it with our team. You know, most of the team on the defensive side is draft picks that we got in the last 2 years, and the offensive line as well, and our wide receivers Puka Nacua, you know. So I love what we do with our drafts, and I'm
Yeah,
excited.
and then you look at McVay in his first couple years. He didn't have a first round pick because he was always training. You know, he did have Jared Goff, but in his first what 4 or 5 years, he didn't have a first round pick because he was making trades for veteran players, for veteran talented players. Now he's doing something different. Instead of going out in the free agency to bring in talented players, he's going through the draft class to look for these veteran like future talented players because these kids are young and you got a lot of years
To
that you
build.
can develop them to become, goats of all time. Look at Aaron Donald. Aaron Donald was here, what, over 10 years? I believe, 12, 13 years he played here, and he played for 2 cities, but the same team.
Yeah,
And he came out of a high draft class that season, too. So McVay, I think, is actually learning new tricks as a head coach.
McVay always has something under his sleeve. I always, till this day, I just want to see how McVay would do with a running quarterback, and we might see it in the future. We might see it next year. Depends what we do in the draft class.
Well, you look at the one guy I was looking at before he was drafted was Trey Lance.
Mm,
I think he's got the capability to be a a running quarterback, and a passing quarterback. With this offense that Sean McVay has, you need a quarterback that can stay in the pocket, withstand the pressure, and do something. Because again, this is not the same offense he had when he won the Super Bowl. He had like explosive players,
right.
and then midseason, you bring in Von Miller, you bring in Odell Beckham Jr., and things start getting well. And again, we saw this offense struggle in the Super Bowl where Odell Beckham got hurt. You guess who was your relier? Cooper Kupp. He's
Yeah.
gone. So now the question is, what are you gonna do if Devontae Adams goes down, if Puka Nacua goes down, or hell, what if Devontae Adams starts to throw a fit like we saw with Antonio Brown a couple years ago when he just like stormed off the field like out of nowhere. And by the way, that was not staged. That was a real thing. He was
Yeah.
pissed because of money. He was supposed to in order for him to get his bonus, he had to have a certain amount of catches in that game against the Jets. But they took him out.
Right.
By the time they took him out, he wasn't going to get that money. And he just said, you know what? He basically just said, the hell with it, took off his pads and took off.
And threw the
You don't
jersey in
see
the
that
crowd.
often.
No, it was all live on television, something you really see. You
No, you
rarely,
don't.
you don't, yeah.
Apparently, he was on something on. And to this day, I mean, we don't even know was he on.
Yeah, so headlines is those there's hella headlines that day about what happened, which was crazy, but whew, that's
But this is gonna
having
be
bad
a,
chemistry.
yeah, but this is gonna be an interesting season.
Hmm.
The big question: can they go above what's expected? The analysts have projected the Rams to be in the playoffs for the ninth time, or well, yeah, ninth time in 10 years, or ninth time in whatever years. But they go in as a wild card, though. Do you agree with that?
I do not. I think we're gonna take that division. And not just start the season bad like we did this last couple years. I think we come out strong this year and we finish off strong. It's all
Well, I
about
said
being
this. Well, I
healthy.
said this. I said this last week on our premiere show. You cannot, have a second year or second half build up without, having your bumps and bruises. In the last 2 years, the Rams averaged about 5 wins in the first half, and they averaged about 15 wins total in the last 2 years in the second half.
Sheesh.
That can't happen. You
No.
cannot rely on slow starts
Mhm.
and have better finishes. No, you got to come out of that gate, and you got to come out of that gate strong. Just like he did the first, 5, 6 years that he was here, and he
Yep.
got off to those good starts. He has to go back to that in order for this team to be well. I guarantee you, if they get off to a good start, partner, they're gonna win this division. Not just that, they could be maybe the top three seeds, maybe the one, the two, or the three,
Mhm.
because there's still a lot of questions about who's gonna be the top gun up there in the NFC. Yeah, we got the Eagles, the defending champions. You should probably put them up there because they won it. Washington is a team that's upcoming. I think that could be a real thing there. Detroit, I don't know because they went through a lot of changes. Aaron Glenn is now with the New York Jets. He's not coaching that defense no more in Detroit, and I think that defense is going to struggle without Aaron Glenn.
I agree with
Because
that.
that
Yeah.
defense was very stellar in the last few years he was there. Turned it around. I think they're going to struggle this year. So I mean, I don't really see Detroit being a top team like they were last year. Minnesota, I don't know. It's a lot of question marks there.
I
The
think it's just
49ers, I mean, with
uh,
Deebo Samuel gone, we seen how this team was without Deebo, so it might be that team, we don't know. And then you look at other teams like Seattle, Cooper Kupp is there, Sam Darnold's there. I mean, are they going to be that new Stafford Cup type? I mean, if Cooper Kupp's going to have a rebound year, I'll tell you right now, if he does have a stellar year, I would give him the comeback player of the year right now.
for
I
Cooper
either
Cup.
give it to him or I give it to Devontae Adams. One of those two are going to get that award
I agree.
because I guarantee you
It's
right
more
now
on
you're going to see Devontae Adams and Cooper Kupp have big numbers for the new teams.
yeah, I think I see it more on the Devontae Adams side. He's been struggling these last couple of years, bouncing from team to team to team to team, and just having bad chemistry at the end of the season and not make the playoffs.
And remember, he hasn't been in the playoffs in a long time. He was with Aaron Rodgers in his last season in Green Bay. Then he goes to the Raiders because Jimmy Garoppolo was picked up there. He wanted to play with him. That fell apart. Then they sent him to the Jets because Aaron Rodgers is there. They think that could hype up the offense. That didn't work either. So now he's in his fourth team. He's with Matthew Stafford. They've gone along well from what I've seen, what I've heard, and he's putting in the work. So I think he's going to be the leader of that receiving core with Puka Nakua. But it'll be very interesting to see how that offense is going to go with those two guys on field. And then
I
you
love it.
and then also you combine these receivers that they picked up and the running game that they have.
Mhm.
If nobody gets hurt, I tell you right now, I don't want to play the LA Rams. I don't care if you're the Chargers. I don't care if you're the Chiefs. I don't even care if you're the Buffalo Bills. You don't want to play this team. You do not. If they can be healthy and powerful like they've been in years past, this is the one team right now, partner, in the NFC playoffs, even in the Super Bowl. I do not want to run with this team right now.
Yeah, I agree. We're deadly. We're a strong candidate to be. I feel like we could go back. We could go to the Super Bowl this year. From defense to offense to special teams. I love our team. McVay. It starts from McVay, from his abilities to just get the team together and just build chemistry. He's like one of the top coaches, one of my favorite coaches I've seen. Not just being biased because I'm a Rams fan, but the things he has turned this team around these last couple of years, and I love it, and it's still gonna continue.
Yeah, I mean, you look at I'm actually looking forward to that Eagles rematch because I think the outcome might be different.
Yeah, I'm hoping. I'm already excited. Hopefully, the third week early in the season, we're hoping for that victory.
Hmm. Yeah, I can't wait either for it. So I'm very, very, very looking forward to it. And again, partner, fortunately, that brings us to a close of another successful program here today.
Yeah, partner, it was episode number 2 of many episodes to come. This was a little bit about the draft class, a little bit about the OTA practice that has officially started. Like you mentioned earlier in the episode, 100 days away from the season. Whew, look at that.
And keep in mind, the OTAs have started already, but we're looking forward to that mini camp. That's where the players show up. So we're looking forward to that. But again, folks, thanks for joining with us today. Be sure to subscribe on our YouTube page. Just hit the little button there, little bell. Give us a thumbs up. Also, leave your comments there. Ask any questions you want to ask. We'll answer it. If we get a comment from you, like a question, we'll share it during the broadcast. But also, just a friendly reminder: please keep your comments clean and professional, without any vulgar language. Much appreciated that. But again, partner, I'm gonna leave it to you. You got any last words before we go off the air?
Another great episode, partner. Hope to catch you again soon with more news that break out. Hopefully, we get some Jalen Ramsey update in these next couple weeks and see where he lands. And yeah, let's get it.
Also, before we go, I do want to address something real quick. As you know, we both are the hosts of the show Sports Talk. That's also here on YouTube and the Podbean app. I've been getting questions about if the show was canceled. No, it is not. Right now, the show is basically on a small break. Uh, Jay here has been a full-time student this semester, so production has been a little challenging. He is our producer who helps edits and uploads. So we will be restarting a new season of Sports Talk pretty soon. We're just in the midst of final exams, so once that's cleared, we'll go ahead and resume and we'll have double duties here. But again, continue to subscribe and follow on that show as well. We do have previous episodes that you can go back to watch as part of our best of sports talk that's going on right now. But sports talk will be back and this show will also continue. Again, we thank you for watching our second episode. And what do we always say in the other show, partner?
Another day, another podcast.
Keep those comments coming, folks. We will see you next week on Rams Talk.